hell? Goes there. Hey, kitty. I've just resetting something here, and I am here, ready to go. I hope you brought something to work with. Alrighty. If it crashes again. Okay. I've already got some paint out. Whoops. Scrape that up. It didn't crash. Hoodoo-doo-doo, hoodoo-hoodoo. Mm-hmm. I don't understand this. I'm setting up photos, color scan. Good grief. Not giving up. Okay, I'm gonna skip it and go on to YouTube. That's something I'll mess with tonight. Had an upgrade yesterday on the iOS software, so it always requires a little bit of getting used to. I see somebody else is in. I'll say hi to you in just a minute. There. Ooh, Baker. Hey, my little Irish friend. Irish? I'll start calling you Irish. Meatloaf is so good. My husband's the cook too, probably, and the baker. Um, I'm going to take a little bit of a gamble here. I'm going to do a process called oiling out. And this is linseed oil. Just a real thin. Okay. Real thin. Now I will take a piece of sandpaper and very lightly especially down here on this shoulder. I'm going to wipe it off. See, I'm wiping off some of the last layer. Now we're ready to go. What it does, Shireen, is you might as well live with it. I'm not going to say anything again. What it does is it knocks back any bumps or any brush strokes that I don't want, makes it perfectly smooth. Because I guess I'm just going to have to live with the fact that at this point in my career, I just like smooth. There'll be time for chunky loose some other time. Okay, so I'm going to see, it just takes off a little bit of the last coat, and the oil gives it a nice slickery surface. So now I'm going to mix up my, as Beth calls them, collars. I'm going to bring this string of white. Oh, I'll let y'all see. Don't let me forget to put it back. Here's white, and we'll have 2 strings of white. And on this side, I'm going to put alizarin crimson. Cad yellow. Whoops, not that much. Cad yellow. That is too much, I think. And on this side, I'm going to put cad red. Oh, wait a minute. The cad yellow goes over here. It can go either place, but since I'm mixing up both of them, then we'll mix these 2 together. I need a little more alizarin. That. that. Yeah. Now, that's a string of the two colors in different values. I'm going to do the same up here. Now, mix as I go. And I used paper towel instead of wet. And I need some of my mud. And some cad red. This makes a brownish color. And maybe a little, that kind of turns it greenish, but that's okay. So that gives me almost a raw sienna type. I'll put a little more of that. My hesitation there was, am I going to make green? But I have enough of the cad red in there to, there, good brown. I'm going to take a little bit of the violet blue and put it over here. Kind of a neutral there. And I think I'm ready to go. Any other questions? Thank you. Are you, the colors are great. Are you talking about the glass? This is a cutting board from Target. And that's a piece of lucite that fits in the welder's holder. Slide it down in there and put it in the freezer. And the paint is perfectly usable by the time I get ready to stick a brush in it. Okay, now I'll get y'all moved back up. Working on her. See if I can get it where y'all can see a little bit. I already checked my drawing. And everything measures out. And the way I did that was by just taking it, folding it a little like that. Matching that up. Matching that up. So I did that with both of them, and I'm right on target. That's what all the, what's the word? Word. There went my phone. Let's see, where am I going to put this? I'm going to put just a little shot of this gel up at the top. This is called fat. Means it's thicker. It will add thickness to the paint. And all of my previous layers were very thin. So as I start getting a little bit thicker, adding more layers, I can start getting a little thicker. And I don't want to use terp from this point forward or from a couple layers forward. Because it adds too much solvent to your paint. I'm just going to use that for a little bit of guidance on color. And here we go. I just mixed up a little bit of that blue with my skin tone for a cool color right there. There. And I'll put a little bit of green between the two. This is my permanent green light. I want to make sure I've got enough to make that form turn. I'll give that forehead some roundness, I should say. The face. I'll get it in a minute. A bit too dark. Now, as I need more colors, like more white, I can just add them to what I mixed up. Hey, Jersey. Thank you, dear. I've been missing you the past week. Shireen, yeah, the oil paint can be frozen. Oops, how do I get rid of that? I forgot. Oh, it's over here. I don't know why it pops up there. Comments. Hang on. Banner. Nope. Ah. I don't know where it came from. Well, poopy doopy. That is a banner. Does anybody know how to get rid of this? It's 3 dots. Nope. Help. Help. Let me see if there's something here. Oh, there it went. I had to double click on your code. Yes, you can put it in the freezer. In the old days, back when the old masters were painting, sometimes they'd put their entire working palette, dunk it in water. And then the next day when they came back to paint, it was just fine. Pull it out and it's fine. Let me see what else. Paint in the freezer. Joyzy. Oh, thank you. I've had so much fun this week, last week, that I'm going to start on my grands. I've got, when there was one, I came up with the bright idea that I would do a 16 by 20 portrait of him at about 8 months old when he got ready to be able to sit up. And then came 2. I'm good with that. So I got 2 done. And now there's 3, 4, and 5. And I'm behind. 1 is 10. I'm still a little bit. And 5 is 18 months. So I got to get busy. I had no idea that people would enjoy watching paint dry. Hey, Ray. I'm glad you popped in. I don't expect anybody to stay. That's asking a lot. I think this is the 5th layer on this face. I don't like that. No red in it. No boogers. Put a little bit of that purple I'm trying to make sure I've got that. Oh, thank you. I really am tickled that you guys are enjoying it. Yeah, I was kind of tickled with his ear too, right? And it's such a big gamble to do something like this live. Trick here is making the hair look like it belongs and is attached to the skin. Scared for me or for you, Ray? And Linda Wessel, new follower for everybody, reminded me that it's been 3, maybe more years since I've wall painted. Serious. And the only reason this is serious is because it's real. What am I trying to say? It's all real, but not something that you can do in a 30-minute craft session. Very slow and methodical. There is no race going on. I don't paint hairs. I paint shapes. And that's too much. Hair changes depending on how you look at it, what light is on it. So it's just fun to add some colors. Okay, I think that's enough on the hair. I was just doing that, put off working on the face. The brow bone comes out from the face. So it'll catch a little bit of that light. This light's pretty much coming from the top. Maybe from the top, about like that. That's why we've got so much light right here. Um, yeah, I would. The this area right here is pretty much a shape, this kind of a triangle scallop shape. Here's another shape. So when I was painting that, I just take my brush and just do that. And that will be enough right there. Unless I want to come back later and just put a little bit of light to break up that stroke. These are pretty stiff brushes. So when you put down, see, come here and here, and then add this into the same shape. So you've got pretty good size shape there. And then I would come back and do just a little bit of this middle tone and then catch all of this as one shape. Down here's another big shape. And then there's another lighter shape. So once you get all that in, you can take your brush and just kind of make sure those areas kind of blend together so there's no hard edges. And then you come back with the next lighter color. So maybe in here somewhere, the next lighter color, and you just do a few little marks and then blend them in really well with your finger where it starts, where it ends. Same thing down here, that lighter color, just put some in there and then put some up here. And then the next time you come in with something a little bit lighter and you hit right in the middle of that area. Disappear each end. And that's how you do it. And then when you get all finished, you decide where you want to put just a few highlights. Not very many, but just a few. So that's pretty much a hair lesson. I hear babies. I'm still fussing with this right here. That's better. Kind of squares off that hairline a bit. She comes out in the light. In like that. And the purple comes. This is really ticky at this point. Paint on, paint off. Still, man, that's tough right here. Right there.
I think they're ready for a nap.
Okay, I'm live, baby. Does that mean you have to go with them?
Huh?
Does that mean you're ready for a nap too?
Well,
more than likely.
Chances are.
Y'all meet Randy.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, Joey. That was Randy.
Close the door. Come on, we gotta go.
Okay, now I want. This is tedious, guys. I want just a little bit of purple, or the dark color. That's what I've got mixed up over here. I had to have some rules of the road here the other day. Because there were some who were treating this like a pick six challenge and trying to tell me where I was off. So I had to let them know that if you've ever been to a real workshop, teacher will let you know in the beginning, or the tutor, what they want and what they will allow. And number one is you never, ever, ever bring up another workshop instructor. Number two is you never, never, never offer advice to the teacher, which I was getting. You can ask all the questions you want. Now, some teachers don't want you to ask questions, but they're far and few between. I'm going to have to quit digging around with this here in a minute. I'm supposed to be working on her face. Doot, doot. And I want a blondie streak. All right, I'm leaving that for now, for this trip. Um, where did I learn? I took lessons from anybody that came through town. This was back in the 90s. Not 90s, 2000s. That was back before the age of internet was really going good. And teachers would travel around teaching. You could take a class for $300, $350 for 3 days, or $600 for 6 days. And they would always have a few of their paintings for sale. And if they had DVDs or stuff like that, they would have that. So anyway, that was how they would pretty much make a living. Because it's hard to be a working artist in a gallery and where you can make big bucks. So that was a way to supplement. Some of those workshops were watercolor. Most of them are watercolor. Because there weren't too many of those guys that traveled around who could do good oils. Um, and I found a local person who was having weekly classes, or weekly social events is what it turned out to be. And I was painting to learn how to paint. I wasn't painting to get a coffee cake recipe. But I was in with a group of older ladies who accepted me because a lot of them had lost children already. So I wasn't as odd to them as I am or was to people closer to my own age. So I got what I could out of that class. That was the teacher that introduced me to soft pastels and watercolor. Come on now. Come on now. Give me just a little bit. So I kind of went from watercolor. We studied watercolor in, we just picked an instructor at a cleaner. See, I just messed that up. I was going to leave it alone. We decided that I just said one night, man, it'd be nice to take a workshop tour, one of these that are in Europe. And Randy was always wanting to make sure that I was happy. So he said, well, pick one, let's go. Come on now, cover that up. So I just said, oh, Italy'd be fun. And then we found out about the instructor. And it happened to be, not my words, but a living legend of watercolor. So we studied with Charles twice. We were in Italy for 2 weeks with him, and then we were in Prague and Salzburg. We'll come back to that after a while. No, I can't stand it. So that was all watercolor, and at the same time at home, I was learning about soft pastel. And we went to, she talked me into going to a pastel convention with her in Raleigh, North Carolina, which I did, and met the funnest girl standing in line to pay out. She had on rhinestone glasses and curly blonde hair. She lived in France. I thought, oh, wow. Oh, I'm impressed. And we talked in line, and we were being a little bit rude because there was a lady at the front of the line who was making an absolute fool out of herself. So we laughed and carried on. And it turns out she was from Atlanta, Georgia, but was living with a guy that was French. And so she said, oh, I forgot, I'm supposed to be handing out brochures for my artist retreat. And so I took it back to the table. I was in love with her. I mean, it was just pitiful that I was so transparent. Took it back, and the person that I was with was a very aggressive person as far as making money for herself. And she took the brochure and said, well, I think we ought to put a group together. Will you go? Well, hell yeah, sure, I'll go. I didn't figure it would ever happen. Well, it did, and we went for a month. And I got lots and lots of instruction from her. Because when we got there, the teacher that supposedly was the teacher couldn't paint a lick on demand. All she had done was sell each one of us a very expensive pastel box, a travel pastel box. For $350, and sold a lot of the pastels to go in it. Well, Kippy's going, wait a minute, y'all don't have half what you need. Susan had shouldn't have mentioned the name. She had a panic attack. And she realized that, I guess, that she couldn't teach, like I said, on demand. So, met Kippy, loved her. We got along great. And then got home, and she called me back and said, how would you like to be part of the staff and do a workshop on French cooking from our chef, and the students can translate and write the recipes, and you can do a cook. That was what my career was before. So that ended up being a 3-week session. And my only caveat was that she would teach me while I was there what she knew. And she knew a lot. Pastel, she knew an awful lot. So we did this project together. It ended up being a monster. I guess I can't do anything halfway. So it ended up being a book that was about art and um, the value of art and how it can heal. So when the book, we got it done, we printed on demand, and we took it to a convention of the same one that I'd been to in Raleigh, except this one was 2 years later in Albuquerque. So we make arrangements to go. Jerome came too, and we had a really, really good time promoting the book. And we weren't there first day. I think we were there. I met the lady who founded the Pastel Society. And this was an international group. And it was about 15, 20 years old. She single-handedly provided a platform for folks to manufacture soft pastels and boxes and all the stuff that goes along with it. Because pastels in America had lost favor. Well, she ended up having lunch with us that day. And Kippy and I were pretending that we were Double Trouble, the Haley Mills twins, which was a movie that was popular when we were growing up. And Urana said that nothing doing but what it was going to be triplet Bobsy. Triplets, triple trouble. So we became fast friends. And through her, I met a lady named Ann Templeton, who was also an excellent pastel artist and oil artist. Ann came here for one of the workshop things in pastel, so I soaked up everything I could get from her and really liked Ann. And so when Ann decided to do a workshop over at Kippy's in France, I had to be there. But this time she was going to teach oil, and I had not wanted to mess with oil because I was afraid of it. Fat over lean, and just different rules in chemistry, and I thought it was going to be really, really hard. But I went, and I never took a look back on oil. I love it. So I spent that 2 weeks coming from not knowing what to do with it, to coming home and wanting more of it. And I went to, it's that same conference I'm at, Les DeMille. Is anybody listening to this? I'm dribbling. There's more of it. I'll keep going. Hell, who cares? I'm so inappropriate. But I can be on my channel, I guess. So we met Les. And the reason I met Les was that Kippy was off talking to somebody, and it was what is called a paint around. And that means there were 5 artists up on a platform, 5 easels, 5 setups of pastels. And for a 15-minute span, they would paint on their own painting, their own easel. Whistle would blow, and they would switch counterclockwise to the person next to them to their easel. And they would continue to paint on that person's painting. Tremendous amount of fun. Lots of hooting and hollering. And I'm standing in the background because I'm kind of a recluse. And I see this guy standing there and introduce myself. Or maybe we didn't say our names. I don't remember. Let's see, where am I going with that? Right here. And I do not remember how we started the conversation. Must have been something he said that triggered it. And I told him that maybe he asked me how long I'd been painting or why I was painting, or I don't remember. Great big guy. I mean, big, tall, imposing character. And I told him that I started painting because my daughter had died. And he said, I lost my daughter too. So we were immediately fast friends. Didn't know anything about him. He's just a man in the crowd. And the evening wore on, and the next morning was the opening ceremonies. And they usually had a speaker or a demonstration artist or somebody like that. Well, the one that it was Les, and I walked in late, of course. Kippy had saved me a seat on the front row. And I was shocked. Here, the guy that I thought was just a run-of-the-mill whatever was standing up on the stage doing a portrait of Urana, the lady I'd just met, telling stories while he was there. And he would tell a story. He would start to tell a story, and then he'd turn around and look at Urana, and then he'd turn back around to his easel and make one mark. He'd just go like that in soft pastel. Well, I was really impressed. I'd never seen anything like it. And then he'd turn back around, he'd tell another story, and bam, he'd turn around and make another mark. It was almost like he was measuring and seeing everything with the back of his head. So anyway, Anne was there, Templeton. Spent quite a bit of off time with her. And I guess that's about all of that story. Then I came home, wanted more oil. I probably got that all backwards, but came across a local teacher who was judging a competition around here. I bravely walked up to him and asked him if he taught lessons. And we were going through a particularly rough time with money. So I didn't know how I would do it if he even said he was a teacher. Just put my elbow in wet paint. So he said he wasn't at the current time, but he would call me if he ever did. Well, he called me one day. So I scurried around trying to figure out how I was going to pull this off. But my first step was I had to go interview under the guise of, was my work good enough quality for him to bother with me? But I found out later, after getting to know him really well, it was whether or not what kind of car I drove, if I talked about Europe and painting and all that sort of stuff. He marked me as being a potential for buying paintings from him. Anyway, I studied with him for about a year. Sometimes it was a private session. Let's see. I need some. Wait, I know where I've got some handy. I need some solid black. So I had private lessons, and it would be all day things. I'd show up at 9 o'clock and leave at brown. Don't want no brown. Got it. We'd go out to lunch, and one of us usually paid for his lunch, of course. But man, did I learn a lot. He ended up living with us because his wife threw him out. And we found out it was for really good reasons. But he lived with us for about 4 to 6 months. So I got to see how he really painted. And what they teach and what they do are two different things. There are some teachers who keep secrets. But when he was living with us, he couldn't hide it. So I studied with him a lot. His style was a whole lot different than Ann's. Ann was an abstract expressionist, and Tim did stuff like this. You still got some black on there. And that wasn't what you were going to do next. Dang it. You were going to put her iris, her. So I learned all of this kind of stuff from him. Then I went to France another time to study with Les, and that was pastels and oil. And then Les kept mentoring me. And so did Urana, and so did Kippy. I was very, very lucky. Put that back in. Somebody the other day said, I don't care where you're painting, but will you please put some life in her eyes? She's scary. So we're going to leave it at that right now. So between Anne and Les, Kippy, that's my painting career, I think. Left out anybody else? Plus miles of canvas. Just because you have good instruction doesn't mean that you can do it. It's what you, it ends up being like everything else. It's how much you put into it. All right. Yeah, we did. Bye, Joycey. Hi, Lana. Are you new, baby? If you are, welcome. This is a rambling rose. Rambling rose. This is a working session. Y'all are keeping me company, asking me questions. As I put another layer on this little beauty. Eyes are never white. Guy ended up being a deadbeat, but he sure could paint. So I went from almost private lessons with him to almost every day, all day type work. So yeah, it was a risk, but I really wanted to know the rest of the story on him. I wanted to know more. Tell me more. It is so dark in there. But artists are a crazy bunch in general. They've got really inflated egos, and some of them deserve it, some of them don't. I gotta have a drink of water. Well, unfortunately, the guy who lived with us, no, because he was kind of a sociopath and can't live with anybody, or he gets mad and storms off. So no. Anne passed away 6 months after she was at a workshop I did at my house. And Mr. Les passed away a couple years ago. And Urana, the soft pastel lady, just this last summer. So I'm pretty much all alone. Kippy's still around, the one from France. But my big mentors I lost. So part of what I'm doing is passing along what they taught me, because that's what the painting business has been about forever. The masters pass on to their apprentice. But I have met some unbelievably talented artists, more in the pastel business than in oil. I stayed with soft pastel seriously for a long time. It really is fun. And did some of their competitions, and I've been in several of their juried competitions. Good for my ego. But I quit because it was so expensive. If you get in one, you have to ship your framed painting. Lately, the past 4 or 5 years, it's been Albuquerque, but the last time I managed to get 2 in, and it cost me $800 for shipping. Urena paid it though, because she desperately wanted me to get my Master Circle pin or award. I think I've got 2 points toward it, but I quit. I mean, $800, and then now you're competing online, so there might be 2,000 applicants for 70, 80 places, and it's just kind of gotten to be ridiculous. But I'm an associate member of Pastel Society of America, and again, I need to pursue that. But it's really just a talking point, and you get to use it on get to use the signature on your paintings. But nobody but the people in the business know what it is. So I quit to focus on painting. Because if you're actively pursuing shows and competitions, you find yourself painting for that rather than painting for yourself. And then it starts not being fun. And that was about the time that I got into mixed media. Because this is what I used to do. And I needed to learn how to loosen up. So I started mixed media. And the first thing I did in mixed media was Shannon Green, Journaling by Fives. And now I'm having so much fun in mixed media, I don't want to come back to this, except I need to, because I've got 3 more grandkids pictures to do. And y'all have just been amazing with comments about enjoying this, seeing this process. I almost didn't film it because I knew how boring it was going to be. But golly, y'all really enjoyed it. You ought to be seeing how this is just really bringing this to life. This area plus this area. Eating, oh, you're eating the meatloaf now. Yeah, and then after I quit painting for competitions, I started, like I said, with mixed media. And then I wanted to pick up encaustic because it was so damned interesting. So I did that. I love it. I haven't done a medium yet that I didn't like. A medium. There's a plural of that I can't ever get right. That's not right either. Oh, good. I'm glad. It took me, in between all this stuff that I've studied with people, I keep hearing things that I didn't know what they were. And go back to the basics and so, and I'd go, I don't know what that is. Go back to the basics. Well, I didn't ever go to art school. So I had to search all that stuff out for myself, and it took me about 10 years to figure out what they were talking about. And they were talking about the elements and principles of art. And it's boring. It's like studying history. But I kind of stuck to it until I understood it. And then I realized, man, how easy it would have been if any of those instructors had taught that instead of technique. So that's when I put together my class. Still not right. On Teachable that teaches that. So if anybody ever wants to learn that instead of technique, and you do have to have that at some point, you have to learn how to mix color and how to make a form turn into the light. And then I introduce you to 4 of the oldest mediums in the world. And the first one that I teach and explore with you is oil, because it is the most forgiving. Second, I teach soft pastel because it is also very forgiving. Then I do encaustic. Bet y'all didn't even know encaustic was one of the oldest mediums in the world. And last but not least, watercolor, because in my humble opinion, that is one of the hardest there is to learn. And that's where most people start painting first. Now, if you're doing crafts and journals and stuff, it's not important because you're having fun, you're playing. And I do love that. So I have all the craft paints and everything else that everyone's working with, and I love my Primas. But I don't work with them if I'm working on something that might ever be for sale. For that, I used my artist quality stuff. Getting there. um, yeah, I mean, it's me painting live. That's why I've been calling it a live studio. I mean, a working studio session, because most oil painters who do videos just show fast forward. If you're lucky, they may talk, but so I thought, what the hell? I got to get this done. So it's either film it or not be on at all for a couple weeks. Don't get too cocky here. That's what I thought. Trim just a hair off that. But it's okay if you don't want to learn how to paint. It is not for everybody. Again, the reason that I did was because losing my daughter, and it was either find something to do or go crazy. So I did a little bit of both. But I noticed the last week doing this that I come out with that old feeling of having been on a vacation for a while. And that's just because I have put in enough miles on this to be able to do it almost rote. Almost. Where my muscle memory is paying off, and all the practice and the miles and miles painting I've done. If you want to see some of my stuff, go on VickiRossArt.com, and there'll be links there to some gallery pages on Fine Art America. And like everything else, I get too much going and I haven't updated it in a while. Thank you. The third one before pastels. My medium before that was watercolor. And then I dabbled with acrylics in the style of watercolor. But I thought that didn't fulfill any kind of a need at all. Because you might as well learn to master watercolor if you're going to do that. And along the way, a lot of drawing, silver point, which I love. And I did try some sculpture later on, which I also dearly love, but it is not suitable for a lot of reasons. One of which is your product has to be cast. You got to live near a foundry, and you kind of got to have places to store it. So it's difficult for practical reasons, but I do enjoy it. Mr. Les dabbled in, I guess I shouldn't say dabbled. In his later years, he lived in Sedona, and one of his sculptures is at the Welcome to the City sign. Apparently a big bear, something. And that nose, I think, just got bigger on me. Doesn't take much. Still life painting, Kitty, I just read that again. Still life painting is where you just paint something inanimate, like a bowl of fruit or something like that. That's called a still life. That's an actual category. I was just calling this one live painting because I was painting on stream live. Woo, 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 woo. Woo, woo, woo. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, take a break and look at what y'all are saying. Nothing since I looked last time. There's always a spot where the sun, where the light, they call it a rim light, I believe, in real photography. That's where this comes from. When the form turns and just as it leaves light and inner shadow, there's a bright red, cad red line that shows up. And so that's all I'm doing right there. It's just a little bit. And then I don't know where I picked that up. The hardest part of learning how to paint for me wasn't necessarily features, but it was painting outside. How do you know what you're looking at? And how do you know what will make a good painting? There were very few people, instructors, who could answer that. I guess after a while it just becomes instinctive. Oops. Whoops. I thought they were taking a nap. Sorry about that. Oh, you bet you can. Yeah, it is getting quiet. My Facebook page, where it's all about me, Vicki Ross Art on Facebook, and my group, which I really need some help getting it going. The group that I have is all about you, so you can talk about, yeah, fur babies. I guess Poppy went outside or something. And the group is called axullyart.com. AXULLY, because that's the way I talk. Actually, it's phonetic spelling for actually? You're not serious. And that one you do have to request to join, but that's just because it's troll control. It's hard. It's hard for me to keep all the balls in the air. What I really am trying to do right now, I gotta figure out a way to make some money with this art. I'm gonna be kicked out of the hacienda. So I'm gonna try to start up a kind of like Patreon, but it's not. I'm gonna do it on my own website, and it'll just be $5 a month for everybody. But I got to make sure that I can give you the content to make it worth your while. But the difference between that and that, it's dirty down there. We need to fix that. So anyway, the Axully group is for you, and people have been timid about talking about their stuff. Lynn Wessel, has just gotten involved in it. She's been posting, but it needs some community help. Better. I've been around this digital art world since, oh God, my first group of classes was in 2010. I'm always early to it. And that was before Facebook even really got started. So, of course, there was no way to get it going. The only form of advertising available was if you paid $10,000 to a magazine, and they would mail out an email blast for you, of course. Not going to go into his face today. I'm just worried about hers. Um, so anyway, yeah, it takes a lot of work. You got to focus on that and pretty much nothing else. And I'm real good at starting coming up with ideas, getting them implemented. And then once they're implemented or get them designed, once that's done, I'm done. I want somebody else to take it, run it. And I've got a blog too, which I haven't written in 6 months, but there's lots of good content there because I started um, once a week doing or every other week doing a blog post that I did during all the travels. So you might enjoy that as well. Tell you what, there's so much going online now. I can't keep up with anything. The people that I want to see, I can't keep up with. And some of the stuff I pay for, I can't keep up with. I'm sure y'all can relate to that. Some of these color changes are so subtle. Yeah, I was all set for just doing this one loose and carefree. Didn't work. Thank you, A. Yeah, her babies. I'm sorry, I forgot to answer you. And sooner or later, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do with the teeth. Okay. I'll be here for a little bit more. Boy, the teeth are really looking nasty now. Okay, we're going to do this one more time. Mhm. Good. I enjoy your company. I'm going real slow on the teeth because they can make or break it. Teeth really don't need to be done. See? Mm-mm-mm-mm. It's a little bit better. Ooh. Spotty. All right, now working my way up that other side. Pretty good, pretty good. Oh, okay. All right, be that way if you're not going to come off. We'll cover you up. I got that one open too wide now. Maybe not too bad. I'll leave it alone for now. Yeah, you always, when you look at something like this, you bypass a lot of it. And that's just natural. That's why it's so hard to teach your brain how to see it. Every little detail makes a difference when you're trying to get a likeness. And again, remember I said if you're, well, get paint all over that one too. Get paint all over the back of this. If you're not trying to get a likeness, it doesn't matter so much. And in illustration work, it doesn't matter at all. You can have an eye like Picasso, one eye square and one eye round. But when you're working for a likeness, better. It certainly gives you a greater appreciation for the old masters. And I mean, they had big issues they had to solve, like grinding their own paint. I think we're okay there. You lost her. This thing. Yeah, put my little red dot in. I think we're good. Come on now. Seeing the bottom half of the face is a little too cool. Doesn't take much to warm it back up. Alrighty. Now I have grown a little bit over here. Not really. Straight out, no. Just need some. Hey, Lynn. Miss Shireen has been keeping me busy. Thank you, Kitty. I am so glad you guys are enjoying this. Yeah, isn't that fun? And here I was not really wanting to, afraid people wouldn't like it. Yeah, I am. I am a worrywart. Ah, kitty, kitty. She's had yellow teeth. Bucky Beaver. Been kind of quiet without you, Miss Lynn. I'm just being so careful not to bring in too much white because nobody wants to walk into a room and just put my finger in the paint. I can't really tell where it is, so I guess it doesn't matter. You guys are too funny. I think a gold tooth with a diamond in it would be good. That tooth, we're so close to a pretty good likeness here. But putting your finger in the paint, there it is. Sharing, my little Irish friend Lynn, wants to get in the Axully group. So between the two of you, maybe y'all can get her going. Okay, now I didn't do anything to the lower lip. I think that I'm about tired today. I see something. I see something. The lip didn't come up that far. Better, better. All right, guys. Oh, I didn't even get down here. Damn it. All right. Let me get the next size brush. Still got some chunkies on there I don't like. I got a couple divot marks down here when I was screwing around with the palette knife. Well, okay, I'll come. Nah. Lynn got here just in time to tell me to step away from the painting. Couldn't help myself. I need to make you group administrator, Miss Lynn. Make them look wet. Oops, glad I was sitting right here. Okay, guys, I'm done. We did a complete rework of her face today. He still gets one or two more layers. We're getting close. All right, Madeline and Kitty and Shireen. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And all the lurkers out there, hello. Bye-bye.